Hi,
Here we
Bob.
are.
Hello. Hello. We are live on YouTube and we got so carried away talking with each other and doing our whiteboard, we forgot to press the live button, or I did. So how are you doing? It's very early in the morning for you in Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 3:30 a.m., but I've been up for a couple of hours.
Wow. And it's 6:30 p.m. in the evening in the UK. So I love my chats with Bob. It's really, really important. But before we launch into the subject matter, thank you. We've got some people joining us already. And please don't be shy during this conversation, guys. Any and every question is fine by Bob and I. But I've had so many people messaging me or emailing me this week saying that they've been unsubscribed from the YouTube channel and the notification bell has gone off. So can you all please check that you are subscribed and the notification bell is on? And obviously, if you like what you hear, do feel free to share it. Interestingly, I've also been unsubscribed from some of my favourite channels. So there's obviously some interesting shenanigans going on again.
Yeah.
So today, Bob, you are going to talk to us about, I always love our talks because I find them so interesting. And you're going to talk to us today about how we can all empower ourselves to mental well-being. And I've been doing an Empower Yourself to Health series, one for pets and one for humans. So this fits in beautifully because we really haven't focused on the mental health side of things yet. Hi, Andrea. Nice to see you joining us. Thank you. So yeah, I'm going to hand the floor over to you. I've got my whiteboard here. You can instruct me as you do because there's some interesting names on there Bob's going to explain. So over to you to start us off.
Well, I just love the synchronicity of this, Catherine, because this is just so logical in my own journey. It's like putting together all that I've learned since and all that I've experienced. And it's like just putting together all the stepping stones. Now, I'd like to explain to the people that have tuned in, or the people that are going to watch it in the future, on a whiteboard behind Catherine, there are three really important words: integrity, kiss, and Sue. Now, everybody knows what integrity means.
Who's Sue? We want to know who Sue is.
Yeah, I'll get to it. Okay, but kiss is the KISS principle. Keep it simple, sovereign, because there is a power in words, and I'll talk more about that later. And then Sue is the Sue principle, which is all are sovereign, unique, and equal. And so those three words, if you like, are the beacons for what is to follow. They are the shining light that is guiding all that I will be sharing. And the first thing I want to talk about is pondering the title, and your Empowering Health series is actually what inspired me to do an empowering mental well-being thing. But the first thing I really need to do to align myself with the three beacons is to change the title of the show. And the title for me is How I Empowered Myself to Achieve Mental Well-Being.
Brilliant.
Which immediately puts it in the place of, this is not a how-to for anybody. This is not a guide. I'm not a teacher. You are your own teachers. You are your own gurus. This is just my story, and I own it. And I know we're all unique, but I reckon we have enough similarities for the stuff that I share to resonate with people. And so whatever I share won't cost you a bean, you know, and unless you want to buy a book I recommend later. But you've got nothing to lose. So what I would say is what I'm about to share, I place on the table purely as my personal life experience and my recommendations to you to give it a go. Give them a go. You've got nothing to lose. Try new stuff.
Absolutely.
So, right.
Absolutely. And I love that. I was just going, sorry, there's an echo here when we do it. Let me just mute you when What quite often on StreamYard, Bob, we get an echo, so I'll mute the other one who's not talking. It's the internet delay. But what I've muted him now. I can say whatever I like. We've got some wonderful people joining us from all over the world. So thank you so much. And I think it's really wonderful when people share their own unique stories, because, you really are being authentic and talking from experience.
Okay, can I speak now? Can I speak now? Thank you. I think the first thing that's really necessary is to come up with a definition for mental well-being. And how I define it is contentment. Sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm sad, but I'm always content. Or another definition could be simply peace of mind. So I don't know if you guys agree with that, but yeah, I just think either of those two work for me. So for me, mental well-being is either contentment or peace of mind, which prompts the next question is, how can you have peace of mind until you can silence your mind? So there's a challenge for everybody. Find a way to silence your mind. And I did it by treating my mind like I treat my little puppy dog. It is a part of me, and I am responsible for looking after it. My favorite attribute in my whole journey is my sense of humor. It is absolutely indestructible. And I'll share a quick little story to show you how robust my sense of humor is. In 1989, in about June, I was involved in a gasoline fire and got badly burned up the body. And I ended up in Stoke Mandeville, and that was an experience. But yeah, and I was working for SO Petroleum at the time. But I can remember running around the garden, with my chest on fire and flames coming up in front of my eyes. And there was this glorious smell of roast pork. And I realized it was me. And still to this day, my favorite meal is roast pork, baked veggies, and my special gravy. But every time I eat it, I see the flames trickling up. Ooh. And that's how robust my sense of humor is, So, okay.
Before you move on, Bob, can you just explain to those that have just joined us now? People are wondering why I've got integrity and Kiss Sue again. So for people that didn't hear the start, can you just explain what they stand for again?
Okay, yeah, maybe you could type it in the chat as well. Integrity, everybody knows what integrity is. It's your moral compass. Everybody knows within their heart of hearts whether they're doing right or wrong. And Kiss is the Kiss principle, keep it simple, sovereign. And Sue is the one I invented, as far as I know, is the Sue principle, which is all are sovereign, unique, and equal. And everything else just flows from that. So, yeah, right. So precision. Yeah, I think that's enough on precision. The next thing I probably want to talk about is opinions. I've heard a lot recently, and this ties into the power of words. And for me, words are so important. So there's a lot of talk about opinions. Now, for me, opinions are worthless. Opinions are like hearsay evidence in court. They are not grounded in reality. They're just, oh yeah, I saw it. I heard it on the radio, or I saw it in the newspaper. If somebody is sharing their own personal life experience, which is all I am doing, or the results of any research that I've personally carried out, then what I am sharing is my personal life experience, my witness testimony, and there's nothing of greater value than that. Anything else that you haven't experienced is opinion, and that's why I say opinions are worthless, and that's why I love you and Andy, And everybody that I met through your show, they're sharing their personal experience with the realization that in the first instance, it only applies to themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm not that opinions thing out today. Oh, my opinion is right. Like, it's so grounded in codependency in it. People come out and say, "Oh, Bob, what you need to do, mate, is thank you very much, mate, but I live my life. I'm here to live my life my way, not your way." Like, okay, so how did I get to empower myself to mental well-being? Probably next one to go on the board will be responsibility, and I'll talk about it while you're doing that. It wasn't until I took personal responsibility for this life that I do create that I was actually able to do that. Like, no longer could I say, "Oh, you make me so angry," or, the doctor said I've got chronic depression, and, all the external stuff. I took responsibility for my life, all of it. And that's when I sat down with the pain of depression and said, well, let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this. And once I chose to become master and commander of my life, that is when I set my conscious life intention, which is I am here to have a gentle, joyful, loving, healthy, and abundant life. Now, this may sound weird, but this is what's happening for me. Since I did that over 10 years ago, I am here to have, that's my command to the universe or creation or God or whatever you want to call it. I use universe. That's my command to the universe. And that is precisely how my life is unfolding. It is unfolding in a gentle, joyful, loving, healthy, and abundant way without me having to do anything. I'm just kicking back and letting the universe do all the hard work.
Mm.
And then sitting with that pain of depression from this place of sovereignty, I thought, where's this pain coming from? So the next bullet point will be questions. And I'd encourage.
I should have worn a proper little Dolly Bird outfit to be your assistant, shouldn't I? I'll do it next time. You know how all the magicians' assistants wear little Dolly Birds?
Oh, you're distracting me now, Catherine.
Yeah, sorry. There we go.
Yeah, so I would encourage everybody to question everything. But when I'm sitting there on the boat with this pain of depression, the question that I asked myself was, what's the longest relationship I've ever had in my life? And the answer was simple. It is with me. It is with me. Ergo, I'm the only expert on my life. Why am I listening to these fuckwits telling me there's something wrong with me? So sitting with that pain, the light bulb went off. I just realized that there were two basic components. One, that as a natural human loving being, I was being forced to live in a corrupt and unhuman and unloving and competitive and totally corrupt society, and that's going to cause pain because I'm not supposed to live like that. I'm supposed to live like a dolphin, swim and giggle, keep it simple. So that was one element. And the other one was all the wounds and trauma that I was carrying from my childhood. And people say, oh, you can't change your past. Well, I agree with that entirely. But I had an inkling, a feeling that I could go back and heal the wounds of my childhood. And that's what I did with the help of John Bradshaw, who, God bless him, R.I.P., but that man saved his life. His work saved my life by going back and healing the wounds of childhood. Took all that crap. And it wasn't, I've got an amazing intellect. My IQ's about 150. Einstein was 160. But I couldn't think my way, and I tried for 20 years to think my way out of depression. And it wasn't until I silenced my mind and did the feeling work and released all those trapped feelings, all that terror and shame and guilt that I was locked within me from my childhood, that like taking an elephant off my shoulder. It really was. And it's the most powerful work I've ever done. And I would recommend anybody to take a look at John Bradshaw's work. I know Gabor Mate is sort of taking up the baton, but on an energetic level, which is where I work, where I feel things energetically, I would still go for John Bradshaw, because he is just so passionate about what he's doing. There's, he's on a different level. But my recommendation would be, and I don't care. People say, "Oh, I just had a normal childhood." I didn't. Well, I thought my childhood was normal. I had the crap beaten out of me several times a week. But you think it's normal. Now, I challenge anybody in Western society that's grown up in a family in Western society, when there wasn't a moment in their childhood when they were terrified, when they were frightened. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes, is one moment of terror to destroy the trust between the child and the parent. And once that trust is broken, the child does not stop loving its parents or its abusers. It stops loving itself. And so that's why I say, for me, and my recommendation, if you say your childhood didn't have an impact on you, well, denial is not a big river in Africa. You're in denial. Go back, find that silent place, sit there in the silence, and just remember your childhood. All the good times, but all the bad times. Because you, as a beautiful, loving, magical child, you were not to blame. I was not to blame for the way I was treated. And I hated my mum for beating me for years. That dichotomy was tearing me apart. I hate you, Mum, when you beat me with the carpet sweeper, or hit me with a frying pan, or, I hated it. But then you've got to love your mum. And it was that dichotomy that was tearing my soul apart. But by doing the work, I realized that Mum was just dumping on me what got dumped on her. So I wrote a letter to Mum, and all I'm talking about are in the previous shows that Catherine and I have done together, if you want more detail. But by telling my story to my mum, I wrote her a letter and sent it to her. I handed back. I broke the multi-generational cycle of abuse, because if you don't hand it back, you pass it on. Whoa! Any questions yet, Catherine?
Well, yeah, we've got one question here from Miss Chrome Sticks. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. She's saying, are we going to talk about manifesting today? Because she keeps manifesting mirrors. That's absolutely brilliant, which is lovely, but I've run out of wall space. That's funny. So she'd like to manifest something else, maybe for others. So is that something you'll be touching on, manifesting at all today?
I'll put it down at the bottom, because manifesting just happens for me.
Yeah, but it might be quite nice for us to run through at the end, if you can, some tips for people, because I love it and it's very positive, isn't it? So, and then we've got, we've got a couple of others. We've got someone else. We've got John Ellis saying Gabor's frequency has been compromised, according to Laura Matsu. Sad. I don't know about that. It's not something. Yeah. And then someone else is, Katie's asking, Bob, do you have children?
Not with me. As far as I know, I was father to one son and stepfather to one daughter. My family we were estranged, and but I was in the Merchant Navy, you know, in the 70s. So I might have a few more offspring around the world that haven't caught up with me yet. Naughty boy.
No, but it's a serious question, isn't it, in terms of looking at breaking the cycle and everything, isn't it? Because we've got quite a lot of comments here. I don't know. I'm putting some of them on there. Yeah, I think there's a lot of comments with people sort of, if you want to have a read through them, in terms of people saying about, you know, childhood experiences they've had and everything, and breaking the cycle of abuse. And I think that's really, really wonderful. We've got some lovely comments here of people that have just been, you know, looking at breaking that cycle and making conscious choices that they're going to do things very differently with their children. And of course, with all the news that's coming out at the moment, never has this subject been more important. So was forgiveness quite a big part of your journey, Bob?
Yeah. So I'm sitting there in that position of hating mum, but knowing that I had to love mum. You've got to love your mum. You've only got one mum. And when I wrote that letter to mum telling her my story, and eventually got her letter back telling me, she was telling me her story, basically she had a very violent and dysfunctional childhood. And that's when the light bulb went off. That's when I realized that, yes, mum was doing her very, very best, but what she was doing was dumping on me what got dumped on her.
Yeah.
And so I phoned her a couple of days after I got the letter, and she's back in hospital, St. John's Hospital, with a second incident of bowel cancer. And that was the first time we spoke as mother and son, as two adult human beings. And it was hard to speak because we were crying so much, you know. And then the following day she died.
Wow.
And what a beautiful closure. But the caveat to that story is, about 18 months ago, I contacted mum through a spiritual medium who told me stuff that only mum and I knew. So I knew this lady was fair dinkum, you know. And the message mum gave to me then was, she just said, thank you so much, Bobby, for writing that letter. For I am now doing the same work with my parents in the beyond.
Wow.
Now that blew me away. That absolutely blew me away.
Yeah, I mean,
I've broken that cycle, you know, and if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah, there's just some amazing comments coming through from the people watching, with a lot of people that have had, you know, just such wonderful learning experiences and everything. And it's really brave of everyone to share these in the comments and everything. And I appreciate every single one of you. And I know Bob does on here, because you're so right. Everyone goes through these journeys. And one of the nice things about, you know, the modern age is it's more acceptable to talk about these things, isn't it? So what about moving forward, Bob, in terms of, from what I'm understanding, this is beautiful. It's just me as saying my daughter is the most amazing mother. She's absolutely epic. How absolutely wonderful. And so you found it particularly useful, yes, to look back and make sure you're addressing those issues of the past, yeah, and not hiding them. And then how does that help you? What about the sort of moving forward and creating your future?
Well, once I completed that work, it was like, you know, I was going through life and I was getting dragged down. And all of a sudden, this elephant has been lifted off my shoulder and I'm free. I'm free of all the past baggage and garbage, feeling really light. I have a silent mind. And once I was able to do that, to silence my mind, I could clearly hear my heart. And so my heart started guiding me. And I listened to my heart and followed my heart. And that's when all these little insights came in, you know, like, here's one on the power of words. You might want to put words up on the board, but for me, my words are my spells, so I do cast them wisely. For the universe is always listening and takes everything I say literally, literally. So once I realize that, I now place my words with surgical precision, because my words are creating my reality. And also, they are fundamental in me manifesting. Because if I am ambiguous with the universe, then the universe can't deliver. Because it just, you know, what's he asking? What's he asking?
Mm.
So manifesting for me, you know, is I, you know, and I'm not greedy, and I think it's all about being gentle, joyful, loving, healthy, and abundant. But it's another thing I would recommend people to do: set your own conscious life intention, because then that becomes your you know, your guideline, your mission statement, your command to the universe. The other thing I did at that time was the question I asked, going back to questions again. Sorry. What's my life purpose?
Mm-hmm.
I'm master and commander, so I set my life purpose to be to simply find my own truth. And how do I know what is my truth? Whatever resonates with my heart. And so I went through and I started questioning everything, you know, and I was so angry when I realized that everything my parents had taught me, the education or indoctrination system, society, everything that I've been told was a bloody lie, an absolute lie, especially the pharmaceutical issue, you know, and this whole myth of mental illness. That's a lie. That's a lie that we've been believing for about 130 years. And I can prove it's a lie. But again, if anybody wants to know, look at the 2 earlier shows. And I also like to make an offer to anybody listening. If you have any questions and don't get them answered, just contact me on Facebook, and I'd gladly enter into a dialogue with anybody.
Bob, Miss Chrome Sticks has got a question here for you. What is your mission statement?
Yeah, my mission statement is, my conscious life intention is, I am here to have a gentle, joyful, loving, healthy, and abundant life. Now, several times during the week, I'll sit back and look at my life and look at me interacting in my world and actually notice how that conscious life intention is actually in play, how it's actually working. Yeah, and that's another thing. The skill I developed is one of noticing. So you might want to put that on the board. Noticing. You're doing a great job. Doing a great job. For me, what noticing is like being schizophrenic. Probably that was a bit of a sick joke, but oh dear. Yeah, it's like I have a webcam, or probably now I've upgraded to a drone, you know, a spiritual drone that is hovering above me and looking down at me as I interact with life. And so sometimes, you know, I take my point of view from up there and look at me doing something and say, well, Bob, why are you doing that? You're bloody stupid, mate. You know, why are you putting more toxins in your body? You're bloody stupid. Yeah, thank you. And I get a lot of good info from my sense of noticing. I call it my sixth sense, you know. And so when I was, and the other thing, people talk about God and blah, blah, blah. That picture I sent you that you used on the, you know, the frontispiece for the show, that pencil sketch of me was done by probably the love of my life, Valeria, who's no longer with me. She walked away in about 2008, and I thought we were set for life. But anyway, what she did in that sketch is she captured the look that I give the universe. Now, several times during the day, look, if something goes really well, I'll just look up to the right, put my thumb up, wink, and say, good on you, mate. So I'm thanking the universe for bringing something good into my life. Yeah. And the universe has got a really wicked sense of humor. It's a tricky bastard, you know. And sometimes he'll throw a brick in the footpath and I stumble over it and I go, yeah, all right, I get it, mate, you know. And that, but that is how I'm going to do it almost unconsciously. I can't think of how many times during the day that I do that. Just thank the universe when things go right. Thank the universe. And laugh when he throws a spanner in the works.
Which that happens. It definitely happens. So we've got a question here. Who's operating the drone?
Well, I am that I am, and I am content. Long, pregnant pause. I am, and that's another one. The power of I am.
So I put this up here.
Yeah, I am.
Now, I don't know, have you done the I am that I am Wayne Dyer meditation? But it's one of my favorite. There's versions of it on YouTube. And you know, when it plays, it's meant to be the healing frequency of the sort of God or the universal tones. And when I play it, my two rescue dogs literally howl like wolves. The music resonates with them so much. It's just absolutely incredible. It ruins the moment a bit with the meditation, but they're not howling in stress at all. It's howling, and all I can say is when you watch them, when I come in and watch them do it, it's such a beautiful connection. So they're resonating with the tones of the music. It's literally incredible. So we can only do it when there's no one else in the house, because my husband and I then get the giggles because we're sitting there really relaxing to this, and then the howling starts. It's literally really, really beautiful. So the I am is really, really important. And yes, the universe certainly has a wicked sense of humor. So in terms of actually empowering yourself to health and well-being, I mean, at the moment, there's a really wonderful everyone's just having so much that's been brought into their awareness over this last couple of years. So as well as all their own stuff to deal with, there's a lot of sort of universal or society stuff to deal with as well, isn't there? So what are your words of wisdom for people dealing with that? Because that can obviously, all the changes that seem to have been enforced on people can also have an impact on people's mental health, can't it?
Yeah. And one of the biggest ingredients in my state of dis-ease, commonly known as depression, was that I'd lost the belief in myself.
Right.
And so I asked myself this question, going back to questions again, what's my earliest recollection of the first moment when I stopped believing in myself? And I was about 4 3/4 years old. It was a Sunday morning. I got up and brushed my hair and combed my teeth and put on a red t-shirt and bounced down to breakfast feeling all very grown up. And Mum said, Bobby, go upstairs and put on your blue t-shirt. And I thought, hey, but I love my red t-shirt. Anyway, I stood up and thought, well, Mum must be right, because she's Mum. And she's angry and violent. And she's about 80 foot tall. So I went up and took off my red t-shirt and put on a blue t-shirt. And that's my earliest recollection of me breaking that trust with me, believing in myself. And that just became a habit that went exponential as I grew. more and more. Until I believed in these DRs, these drug retailers, saying take this toxin, it will cure you. You know. So it's re-establishing the belief in myself. That was vital. And where I am now, and why I seem fearless, I might be different when I'm on my deathbed, but I've faced my own death probably about a dozen times. And where I am now, okay, I know through my inner knowing, through feeling, I know that what I radiate, I create. So I choose to radiate joy. And so I'm radiating joy, and what comes back? Joy. And I have no fear of the future, because I know, and it's been demonstrated to me for over 10 years, that my life will unfold in a gentle, loving, healthy, abundant way. So there's nothing for me to fear of the future, because the universe is looking after me. All I've got to do is stay in my integrity and believe in me and follow my heart. You know, so many people are out there looking for answers, but they're not asking the right questions. And maybe that's where, you know, I can throw a pebble in the pond or plant a seed, because I'm, you know, I haven't got your answers. That's your job, but I might have some of your questions. Yeah.
And it's an interesting one. Can we go through a couple? We've got some good comments coming up in here as well. It's a very interesting one. So it's just me is saying, be the observer as much as you can. How do you feel about that, about being the observer to life?
Yeah, that's what I call my sense of noticing. I am the observer of me in my life. I've got a meme in my book that says exactly that. I am the observer of me in my life.
And the participator, because we're here to participate in life as well, aren't we?
Yeah, but it's good
balance.
Yeah, and the way I look at things is, you heard that old adage, you can't see the wood for the trees. Okay. Now, you go up a level, and you can't see the trees for the canopy, and you can't see the canopy for the forest, and then you can't see the forest for the country, and then you can't see the country for the planet, and then you can't see the planet for the solar system. So there are all these different levels where you can go to get a different perspective. So that's one game I like to play, going up the levels. And this thing about, for me, feelings are healings. That's how I healed myself from depression. And now, we talked about headspace and heart space. When I make a decision, I don't think about it. I don't write a list, pros and cons. I just sit down and, how does this feel for me?
Yeah.
I have a decision to make here. Where is the love in the outcome? Where is the love? Which way is the love guiding me? And that's what I do. I just follow that. And I can do that instinctively now. I don't have to think about it. You know, for me, thinking is the weapon of mass distraction. That's another one of mine. Because while the people are thinking, they're not listening to their hearts. And the mind is always looking for answers, but the heart already knows. You know? It's simple. Keep it simple, sovereign. It's so simple.
Keep it simple, sovereign. So everyone who's still asking, I've posted above what the kiss Sue means. It's not me, I'm not Sue. But it's so important to all this. I've lost my train of thought now. I was thinking about kissing Sue. But it is so important to tune in with the heart. And it's something I think all of us have been really conscious of. This is why I love connecting with the community. I must say, I always get the most amazing people on the lives. There's a lot of people that are joining us today that have joined us on some of the animal ones and some of the Andy ones, and it's just really, really brilliant people that are prepared to share, open their hearts up. You can tell everyone on this chat is really living very much in a heart space. But one of the most powerful things that I find when people are working with animals that have got issues in their lives is when the human loves to get back into heart brain coherence. It's really wonderful in terms of, I know you're gorgeous. I haven't got mine out at the moment. Normally my cats start jumping all over my desk when and knock the computer off. But it's so wonderful, and our animals are picking up our energy all the time, aren't they, Bobby? Hello, darling. So cute. So cute. Hello, darling. You should have seen what he was doing on the bed behind you. He was doing all his yoga poses and everything. But yeah, it's so important that we get into that heart-brain coherence, because then the answer really becomes obvious, doesn't it? And I think a lot of people over this last year and a half have really learned to tune in with their intuition again and drop the need from having to explain things from a mental capacity and to feel it, which has been really wonderful, hasn't it?
Yeah. And another thing that I would recommend, another person that changed my life forever, was a guy called Ian Lungold, and his work on the Mayan calendar. And I would recommend anybody just go on YouTube, Ian Lungold, the Mayan calendar. I think my best show that he did was The Mayan Calendar Comes North. I know it's about 3 hours long, but you can watch it in bites. But the first time I watched it, I felt as if I'd been run over by a truck, because he explained what the Mayan calendar was about. And it was, the Mayan calendar is plotting the evolution of consciousness. And consciousness is evolving exponentially. And you know what that means. Starts off going up slowly, and then turns the corner and zoom. Now we're just on that corner. We're just on that corner in the evolution of consciousness. And so people say, oh, I'm so busy, time is speeding up. No, it's not. Time is not speeding up. Creation is speeding up. In every moment, there are 20 times more possibilities than there were in the moment before. So if you think things are hectic now, then hang on for a wild ride. And that's why when we do ascend through raising our vibration, we'll be able to cope with that, because we will match that intensity and that vibration. And that's what's happening. You know, the Schumann resonance is going up. My frequency is going up. I'm actually buzzing right now.
I know.
My earliest example of that being a stage performer, like every time I'd, do a concert, I'd be in the green room, backstage. And I got all these jitters and butterflies and, I don't want to go out there. I don't want to go out there, But as soon as I step on stage and get into the first song, it's like that buzz was just, my frequency was being raised to go out and do what I had to do. So I went on stage with a different energy, and what I was performing didn't come from me, it came through me. And it was that energy that the audience picked up on first of all. And if ever I went on stage and without the butterflies, I had a shit gig. The magic didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't raised my, I hadn't connected with where this divine source, where it all comes from. So now I really know that. I know that.
Wonderful. And hello, Miss Chrome Sticks. Yes, we did meet. I know who you are now. We met on one of the freedom marches outside the BBC in Oxford Street. So fantastic. I know who you are now. Yes, I do think someone is saying Sage is saying talking gets so draining, connect to the heart. And then it's just me follows up on that by saying, glad we're all telepathic. Now, I think we are all telepathic at the moment. And I communicate with animals, and there's nothing special about me, believe me. We all have these telepathic abilities, and it's amazing. I mean, even Andrea and Andrea, who's helping out in the chat here today, Andrea and I were having a giggle earlier because Andrea messaged me about something that I'd just written down and everything. So when you use it, these skills really get tuned in really beautifully, don't they, Bob? And I think we are all realizing, I think so many people are realizing that we've already got all these skills. We just haven't had the confidence perhaps to use it.
Yeah, well, for me, I came to the conclusion that thinking is the language of the mind, but feeling is the language of the heart, the language of the soul. And so for me, feeling is the language I want to become brilliant at. You know? The days of thinking are past. And when telepathy kicks in globally, there's no room for any of these lying bastards.
And they can't censor us. They can't censor us. We've, as I said, I've been, for the last few weeks, they've been kicking loads of people off my YouTube channel. It's not a big deal. I'm not moaning about it, folks. It's hysterical, really. But this is the beauty, is actually we can't be censored because we can all communicate with it so many times. Years ago, my cats and I were on a Secret Lives of the Cat, a BBC Horizon programme. And my cat surprised all the experts and did exactly what they said they wouldn't do. But at the time, I was working from home in the little office that I'm in now, and I had a couple of wonderful ladies working for me. And with my job, when I'm out working with animals and things, I don't have regular timescales. I could be miles away and all over the country, and my staff always knew. They were brilliant, these ladies. They were such fun to work with, but they used to make me giggle because they said, we always know when you're coming back so we can look really busy, because all the cats come back into the garden. At that time, I had 6 cats. I'm down to 5 now. And without a fail, without any, they had no idea, but the cats could always pick up when I was about half an hour away, and they'd all accumulate in the garden. So when I got back, I thought they'd been there the whole time. And then when I looked where they'd been in the tracking, they'd been miles. It was absolutely amazing. So yes, being open to this telepathy, etc., and being aware makes it happen more. Now, one thing I did want to pick on is it's just me is saying that the energies tonight are really heavy. Feel some purging coming our way. So I'm wondering if that's something we can help with here tonight, Bob, to help, clear any negative energy that people are feeling.
Well, I'm not feeling any negative energy, probably because I'm locked into radiating joy. I think if people make a conscious effort to do that, just to radiate joy.
So that could be really good because we've got such wonderful participation tonight. I mean, I'm trying to keep up the comments. Everyone's so on point and everything. That I think it's really wonderful if everyone on the call tonight really concentrates on radiating that joy from their heart. I think we're all going to start feeling it, and we can continue to do that afterwards, because one of the reasons why Bob and I really wanted to do live, and I'm enjoying doing the live so far, is it doesn't matter whether you've got one person on or loads of people. That connection is so important, because for me, everything is about connection. And interestingly, Bob, I've been asking a lot of the animals about this recently in terms of what's the most important message that us humans need to know at the moment. And almost all of them are coming back with the message of connection, really true connection to each other and to everything.
Yeah, well, quickly going back to the Mayans, clever people, very clever people. They actually predicted the birth of the internet, but they called it the birth of global consciousness, and they got it smack on. And if the internet wasn't the birth of global consciousness, then I don't know what is. But it was the next step in us able to get together and connect eyeball to eyeball and share our energies and share our stories and share our feelings. Because feelings are healings, and as I say, for me, everything is unfolding perfectly. But I've got a couple of points that I'd like to sneak in, if you like. There's an importance. It's so important for me just to use I statements. Now, because we're all unique, and I cannot speak for anybody else. I've got no jurisdiction over anybody, so I can't tell anybody what to do. And the only person I can blame for my life is me. So the use of I statements. So when people say, well, we need to do that, I'll say, well, hang on. If my name's on that list that you call we, then please strike it off, because only I know what I need to do. But if what you mean to say is humanity needs to do this, or us humans need to do that, then it's great. I can speak to the we and to the you, but I cannot speak for the we or for the you. Wow. And another thing that's really important for me now is my body, my smart body. My body is so much smarter than me. And all I've got to do is listen to it and obey. So look at Western society, oh, I've got a headache. Oh, reach for the Panadol, reach for the Panadol. What a load of crap. This is when the observer kicks in. I've got a headache. Why would I try and think that I can fix it by adding to the toxic load that's already on my body? It just means I need a drink of water. And yet Western culture is based on battle through, go through the pain, take more painkillers, get the job done, make more widgets. And the body's just going, shut up. Here, listen, this is what you need to do. You need to take a holiday. Like my dad, he needed to take a holiday. He ended up being institutionalized in a mental hospital. Poor old bugger. Yeah, but my body is so much smarter than me. And so now I listen to it. And my life is simple. When my body is tired, we sleep. And when my body is awake, we play. Keep it simple, sovereign. That's how simple my life is. And if I can get there, anybody can. I'm just a simple bloke. And what else?
We won't make any comments here, ladies, will we, about men and women? But there's so many jokes I could make. Yeah, we've got some really interesting comments coming up. Sage is saying my body hurts when I'm around toxic people.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm so with you on that, Sage. And Cynthia saying that she's a hugger and it's been hard. Just most of her friends got the shot. It really is, isn't it? It's it's been such an eye-opener for what's really important to us and what true connection it is. And I think we've spoken quite a lot before. I've spoken with sort of all my guests about, it's been an interesting time about really having honest discussions with yourself and feeling yourself about who you resonate and who it serves you to sort of keep in your life and who it doesn't. Because if I'm feeling that about someone else, then I'm not going to be useful for them to keep me in their life either. So it's a two-way thing. So it's quite interesting, isn't it? So yeah.
Why would you? What's the point in lying to yourself? Come on, how's that ever going to work?
Yeah.
I've got another topic.
Yeah. We've probably got about another 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, the boss. It's called Two Hats, No Shoes. Two hats, no shoes. What do I mean by that? In my life, I've only got two hats. I've got a friendship hat and I've got a business hat. And I don't own a pair of shoes because I like to connect to nature. Now, with these two hats, I only ever wear one hat at a time. So now, with you here, Catherine, I've got the friendship hat on. But when I go to do battle with the corporations, I put my business hat on. And why I feel confident in that arena is about 12 years ago, I took out common law copyright on my name and all of its derivatives. So anything I produce is copyright. And And through what I've learned from common law, and I've used this successfully against the biggest bank in Australia, the Queensland government, the conditional acceptance 3-letter process. I've used that loads of times, and it was good fun, but it gave me confidence, because anything that the corporation throws at me, you know, if they send me a letter with my name on it, then they're in breach of my copyright, because they've used my name without my permission, so I could send them a bill for it. So any claim I get from the system, that's all it is. A bill, a fine, anything like that, it is a claim. So I just write back and say, yeah, I'll gladly pay the monies if you can provide proof of claim. And they never can. They never can. So that's why I have no fear in that corporate arena as well. So that adds to my mental well-being, because I've been there and done them and kicked their ass.
Fantastic. And Bob, that leads really nicely onto the comment on the screen now. Now, I'm going to butcher your name. I'm absolutely hopeless at foreign names. So, Grow Wench Peterson. I'm so sorry if I've butchered that. But Bob, this lovely lady, I think it's a lady, I don't know, it could be one of that. I'm very afraid for my grandchildren. They're after the children in Norway, and a lot of people are feeling this. So when people have got this fear for protecting their loved ones, have you got any of your lovely words of wisdom for that?
Not lovely words of wisdom, but all I can do is share what's in my heart and what's my truth. And it may sound heartless, but for me, it is my truth. Everyone is on their own hero's journey. Everyone. And so what the children are going through, or what your mum's going through, or what your neighbours are going through, they have chosen, that's their contract with creation. That's their journey. And so I can't rescue anybody. It's not my job to rescue anybody. All I can do is let my own light shine. And the way to do that, it's my job to heal me. It's my job to complete me. And I see the universe as a great big jigsaw puzzle. And each and every one of us holds one piece of the jigsaw puzzle. Now, for a lot of these people, that jigsaw puzzle is brown paper on both sides. But as you discover your truth and heal yourself, you color in more and more and more of that piece of the picture, the jigsaw puzzle. And as you complete more of your puzzle piece, when you lay it on the table, the bigger picture becomes clearer for all. So yeah.
So this probably appears to what poor Beth's going through. Beth's comment on the screen here. I'm sad, you guys. I had a dying patient get refused to try ivermectin by the doctors. I begged for him. He passed. So it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? I so feel for both of you, for Grow and Beth. And I think, feeling that you are feeling these emotions, and it's really important to recognize that and be gentle with yourself. But same sort of thing for Beth, isn't it? Unfortunately, however much we try, Beth, unfortunately we can just do our best and try. But they're equally, Bob, do you think, if we've all got our own journeys, haven't we, in terms of how much we stand up to the system, what inspired action we take, etc. So I think listening, for me personally, one of the things I've been doing very regularly, multiple times a day, is to make sure that I'm being true to myself and about what my calling is. So not everyone's the type of person that's going to stand up and say something. We've all got our own roles in this, but being true to what your role is and what stance and how far you want to take this is really, really important.
Well, as a word of encouragement, what I'm feeling right now is people are talking about revolution. And no, for me, what is unfolding is a period of re-evaluation, gentle re-evaluation, where humanity will look at its modus operandi of competition, greed, war, nation states, division, and realized that it hasn't really worked too well for us for the last 200,000 years. We need a new way forward. So it will be a process of gentle re-evaluation where we get back together in common unity, in communities, in harmony, working in cooperation. So that's what I feel. And I also feel that everything is unfolding perfectly.
Mm.
Yeah, that's why I am content, and I do have peace of mind, which is probably a lovely way to close the circle, isn't it?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on It's Just Me's, where we are assuming that the Jabiru is going to harm the children. We're not. Well, my take on that is exactly what Bob's spoken a lot about. It's Just Me. We are not assuming anything. Everyone joining us today, listening to it live, Bob, myself, we've all got our own feelings and intuition on what that is. So I think everyone has got a different assumption, energy they're putting out there. There's plenty of people that aren't. So I think it is really important that we recognise we're all on our own unique journey for this, and recognise when people like Gro and Beth are suffering from these really difficult experiences they're seeing. But also for me, I mean, I'm the type of personality where I listen to my intuition, but I never forget to take inspired action. And so on the intuition it's doing. So for me, if I had a child in school at the moment, I've got two at university in different countries, which is an interesting challenge to say the least. I would always take inspired action because that's my personality. I don't listen to my intuition and not act on it. So when we're faced with these challenges, it is important. I think my perspective of what I do is I listen and I make sure I then act with integrity about what my soul is telling me to do, and that would be different for all of us.
Yeah, and it's funny. Yesterday, I just tuned into Cryon. I used to listen to him a lot a few years ago, but he was talking about the shot, and it's just saying that, you know, the human genome, so far as science goes, is 10% usable and there's 90% junk. And he just offered the thought that, well, he was saying that this shot could be the key that unlocks the other 90% of our DNA. So, you know, who knows? Who knows? All I know is that we're going to I'm going to a better place. You can come along if you like. And everything is unfolding perfectly. But fear stops the love. So however you can do it, you know, and go through your own rite of passage. Find your rite of passage, which does involve you facing your own death. Because until you have faced your own death, how can you really appreciate and value your life? Okay, I'll shut up now, Catherine.
No, it's beautiful. I always love speaking to you, and I can't believe how lucky we are. Well, I can believe with the beautiful interaction that we've had tonight with such wonderful people joining us and listening, because I said this on my last talk, I can't remember whether it was with Andy or Vet Timo, that what I'm really loving is I'm seeing this wonderful support that people are giving in the chat. People are giving helpful suggestions, and they are just suggestions, but it's so lovely to have suggestions when they've come from the heart, not from the ego. And I think this is a really important conversation to have. I think these conversations are wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing your honest experiences, Bob, yet again, about what has worked. And I did pick up about a couple of people earlier on saying about a group meditation. Interestingly, that's something that I've been thinking of doing. I'm just trying to work out the logistics of how to do it. What I really want to do is have in-person ones with my animals for people that are near me, because I find that an incredibly healing and wonderful, wonderful energy. But yeah, I really thank you so much, Bob. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much for everyone who's joined us. Fantastic insights, really honest and open sharing. And for everyone who is feeling, anyone that is still feeling heavy energy, certainly I myself will be carrying the intent forward to help support you in any way that I can with that energy. Any final words, Bob?
Yeah, if there's enough interest, I'm willing to host like a weekly Zoom talking circle, healing circle, just for people to come and share their stories. No advice, because for me, unsolicited advice is abuse. But I believe that simply by sharing our stories from our heart, we help to heal each other just by sharing our stories. That's all we got to do. Keep it simple, Sovereign.
Yeah, that's a lovely idea. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful time wherever you are. And thank you for joining us. Thank you, Bob.